There's actually a single verse inside of this book that answers the question of why you haven't been able to permanently remove this from your life or enter a season where lust no longer controls you. And we find it in Paul's writings in a verse that you've probably heard before, but I'm going to break down two words in the original Greek language that are going to change everything for you here. And we find it in Romans 12:2 in Paul's writings. He says, "And do not be conformed to the pattern of this world. What you're experiencing is a pattern. What I experienced for over 17 years is a pattern of resisting, failing over and over again. And so the key to break out of a worldly pattern is to be transformed by renewing your mind." Now, there's two key words that we need to break down in Greek here: transformed and renewing. Transformed is the goal, right? So we want to become transformed. What does that actually mean? In Greek, the word here means to return back to the original form, right? And so we see a key here that God did not create you to exist in bondage, and He did not create you in the way of experiencing what you're experiencing right now. These unwanted urges, these unwanted desires that are controlling you, that is not a symptom of your initial intentional creation, right? And so we start to see here a key is that you were created in God's image, right? And since birth, the enemy has been weaving lies throughout your life to get you to a place where you're experiencing this resist, fail cycle and in bondage to something that you feel like is controlling you. So how do we become transformed back to our original identity of how God created us? Well, it's by renewing your mind, right? Now, this word's really, really important to break down because the word renewing actually means in Greek more similarly to renovation. Now, this is really interesting because in the psychology world, your mind is referred as a house, as kind of an illustration, right? A lot of times, for example, like your exiled self or all of these secrets that you keep are stored in the basement, right? And so the Greek word here, Paul is kind of giving us a key here, says to renovate that house. Now, the key is that a renovation, if you've ever done it or had a house, there's two parts to it, right? Most people here focus on adding, right? Like renewing your mind is like adding things in. That would be part two of a renovation, which is construction, right? But what's more important than construction is doing the appropriate demolition, right? And so we need to go into this house and we need to do a demolition phase on all of the things that have not been there. And the chances are you've fallen into a pattern like I did, where I was trying to transform myself by adding in new things. I was adding in blockers. I was adding in accountability partners. I was adding in reading this book more, going to church more, praying more, all of these things, adding, trying to learn. And the key here, the most important part, is the demolition phase. Now, the reason that most people aren't upfront with you about this is because it's really hard. In fact, it'll probably be the hardest thing you've ever done in your entire life. But I want you to consider that there's really no alternative option, right? And so it would seem too good to be true to just say, hey, if you just add this app or you just, read this a little bit more, it's going to break you free from something that's been tormenting you for your entire life. Like, I think that if you step back and ask yourself the question, this actually probably should be really hard, and that would be the most logical answer. And so you might not be in a place right now where it's important enough for you to charge into something that is this difficult to break free from. But I want you to consider that this video might not have been placed in front of you by coincidence. And if you've gotten to a point where you're willing to do whatever it takes to break free from this, that is the answer. And so we're not here to tell you things that you want to hear. I'm here to tell you the truth, even though you might not like it. This is going to be really hard. And the key here is to stop focusing on adding things in, adding blockers, adding apps, adding verses, adding these habits, right? That is for phase 2. Phase 1 right now is a demolition phase where we need to go into the house of your mind, and we need to demolish some of these rooms. We need to go into the basement and face all of these secrets and all of this darkness and all of this pain that's creating these symptoms of this resist fail cycle. And that's really key here, is that this symptom that you're experiencing of resisting, failing over and over for maybe decades at this point, just like I experienced, is a symptom of some deeper root problems that need to have a demolition phase first. That's the hardest part. Then we can focus on the construction, the addition phase, right? And so these verses have so much more depth to them. And if you want a laid out format, right? Because the question is, okay, cool, that sounds great. How do I actually do that? Well, we've walked over 6,000 clients through a 90-day process that walks you through a demolition phase and then a construction phase in the order of the clues that we get here in scripture, which is the truth, right? And so I'm not here to tell you that this is going to be easy. I'm not here to tell you that this is going to make your life easier. In fact, it's going to make it a lot harder before it gets better. But if you're at a point where you're like, hey, I'm ready to draw a line in the sand. In order to get something different, I got to do something different. I want to invite you to click the link below. We've put together a 60-minute training that's going to outline the exact same process that we've walked over 6,000 clients through in 33 different countries. In fact, over 400,000 people have registered to watch the very exact training that you have the opportunity to click the button below and go to register for that training. And so I'd like to invite you to do that right now, and consider that one of the first things that may be on your mind is like, man, if you're anything like me, it's like, is it even possible to not struggle with this for the rest of my life? Because I had just got to a point where I accepted that. And rather than convince you, I just want to show you, right? And so what we're going to do once you register for that video, I'm just going to show you documented results from our clients. And it's going to be them on video, just sharing their experience of what happened in their life after they watched the training, right? Understood that these symptoms were just a symptom of a root problem, understood what those actual root problems were, and then took action on the 90-day game plan that we gave them at the end of that training. Again, hard work, probably what they'll all tell you is the hardest thing that they've ever done, but is freedom worth it? And if the answer to that question is yes for you, that it's worth some hard work and it's worth a 90-day season of just going all in on this to live the rest of your life in freedom, just like you'll hear from our clients, then what I'd ask you to do is go ahead and click the link below, register for that training, watch it right now. And if you thought that this was insightful, or maybe you learned something new, you're going to learn a whole lot more new inside of that training. In fact, most people come out of this with pages of notes. And so my heart is to teach you, to show you the truth. Yes, you could go, download the Bible app for free on your phone and just, figure it out on your own. But I want you to consider that we've figured something out here that's worked for over 6,000 people. And I would judge the tree by its fruits, right? And so when you see fruits of results, it's like, you could figure this out on your own. I fully believe in that. This is going to save you a lot of time, right? And so we've already done the homework. We've been doing this for years, over 6,000 clients that we've worked with, and have a really refined process that's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of frustration and a lot of headache. And so it might be worth it to you to, dive into the training, spend 60 minutes to learn this. It might be a better option for you to go, download an app for free and sort through this and figure it out. Whatever you choose to do is fine, but I do think that this was placed in front of you for a reason, for a purpose, and it might actually be an answer to something that you've been praying for a really long time, just like I did for over 17 years. And so, again, I don't believe in coincidences. I would say if there's any conviction at all that, hey, this might resonate with me to some degree, or there might be something here that I could learn, click the link below, register to watch that video. If you watch the first 90 seconds of it and the stories from our clients don't resonate with you, then don't waste the rest of the 60 minutes, right? But I would encourage you to at least try it out. And again, you're not going to get a different result unless you do something different. So this is a really simple action you can take to just go ahead and register for that training, spend 60 minutes, and ask yourself the question, like, is 60 minutes of my time worth potentially learning the one thing that could break me free from something that I've been struggling for? Like, how many minutes? How many minutes have you spent in torment and struggle? Is 60 minutes worth breaking free from that? And so go ahead and click the link below and register to watch the training, and I will see you on the training.